You're listening to Sarah Hagan Backstage, with interviews and insights from years inside the music industry. Join Sarah as she talks with masters of their crafts, finding out what makes them tick both inside and outside of the music business.
Welcome to Sarah Hagan Backstage. My guest today, Daru Jones, is the drummer with Jack White and quite a few others, has won 2 Grammy Awards, and runs his own record label. He is also known for his incredibly unique drum setup and his bright outfits with coordinating hats and glasses. We are going to talk about all of these things today with an overall theme of embracing what makes you unique and fostering great relationships. So come along with me as I catch up with Daru Jones. Daru Jones, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. And you had a great day today, right? You were at Forks Drum Closet in Nashville at a hang. How was that?
It was amazing. Have you been to Forks before?
You know what? I haven't been to the new Forks, the new place. I haven't been there, but I'll be in Nashville mid-July. So my plan is to get there for sure.
Yeah, it's great. Actually, today was Gretsch Day, and luckily DW owns Gretsch, so I'm not infringing. So
Yes.
but yeah, I saw it was Gretsch Day, and my rep, his name is Andrew Shrive. I know I always say his last name wrong. Shreve or Shrive. You know Andrew?
Shreve, yes, Andrew Shreve. Yes.
Andrew Shreve. So Andrew, he signed me to Peisty Cymbals a decade ago.
Yeah.
And he's like one of the last good reps in the world. Like, he's one of my favorite people, and he's gone on now to be the Gretsch A&R. So I saw that he was coming to town. I went by to support, and it was great being there. It was a lot of amazing drummers, local drummers, you know what I'm saying, and touring drummers.
Yeah.
So it was just like a family hang. I felt like we were at PASIC or NAMM,
I love
for
that.
a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So yes,
so good.
Gretsch Day, yep.
Gretsch Day, yes. And I love Andrew too. And it's funny because, of course, like Andrew was AR rep at Peisty and I was at Zildjian. And so, like, we would always joke because we got along great, of course. Like, I always, I love everybody in this industry. And it doesn't matter what company you're working for, but we would always joke, like, now that he's at Gretsch, like, we can be friends publicly. But I love him. He's
That's
so
hilarious,
great,
but I feel
right?
you. Yeah,
Right?
you know what's killing about Andrew? He still plays gigs. Like,
Yes.
he's a drummer. He's like getting it in. So I'm always amazed. When sometimes we work for companies or you endorse companies, the people that work there, they're not even sometimes on the field anymore. So it's just so cool to talk to somebody that's still out playing. He's just as excited about the product. But yeah, he's one of my favorite people in the world. So I was happy to see him today.
Yeah, it's so great. I think it does make a huge difference when you know that, like, the people that you're talking to love the product too and, like, are fans of it, like, get it and understand what you want and what you need and why you love it and all that. And the passion is there, right? I always think about that. Like, the passionate people that are in our industry really have an effect on other people.
Yeah, and as you know, it's a small community, but just a quick story. It's funny how these things happen, because I've been a fan of Gretsch, and I want everybody to know I'm a DW artist all day, PDP. But
Yes.
as y'all know, Gretsch is now owned by DW. So just a long story short, I remember when I started working with Jack White 10 years ago. Knocking on wood, I'm grateful to still be in this position. But I remember when the tour came about, like, I've always been a fan of Gretsch drums, like being a fan of Tony Williams, the great Tony Williams that passed on. And also, he's one of my influences. And also, Benny Colaiuta is one of my biggest influences, and they all play Gretsch. So
Yes.
it's been a dream of mine to come on board as a Gretsch endorsee, right? So 10 years ago, Gretsch actually made our first tour drum kit for the Jack White. They made us 2 kits. They had one for Carla Lazar, who was a female drummer, and they made a kit for me. So the first kits that I had for Jack was Gretsch, and I never forget. Once we got those kits made for us, and I actually met the guy that made the drum kits today.
What?
Yes, I forgot. You may even know the gentleman. I forgot his name, but I took pictures with him. He got ponytail, super old school.
Oh my God. Oh,
um,
was John Good there?
no, it wasn't John Good.
No,
Nope, nope.
no, I don't know.
But this guy, he made the Gretsch kids. But anyway, to make a long
Hmm.
story short, I was telling him I was actually trying to get endorsed with Gretsch when I started playing with Jack, and I got denied. I got denied.
Yeah,
I know they probably wish things were different now, but I'm just
yeah.
thankful.
It's all in the family now, right?
All in the
It's
family,
like
but
one
hmm
big family.
yeah. So I thought that was kind of mysterious and funny, like me trying to get on with Gretsch, and at the time, of course they were looking for certain artists, and maybe I don't know, I wasn't what they were looking for at the time, but
Right.
my drum rep that signed me for Peisty ended up working with Gretsch.
Yes.
So po- politically, if I ever wanted to make that move, I would have an end now because that's my guy. We have a relationship. But I'm also
Right.
glad
Right.
that I was able to work with DW because to me, DW they the Rolls Royce of drums. Like I always felt like they were top of the line. Like they had the cool colors, the cool different styles, and I've always been a fan of DW. But I just thought
Yeah.
that was a cool story that like
Yeah.
me trying to
That
get on with Gretsch and then end up going with DW, and now my Peisty rep became a Gretsch.
became the Gretsch rep.
And
Yep.
yes, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what? I thought it was so smart too. Like DW, having you really promote the PDP kits because you were in all those advertisements and like
Mm,
promoting that product, and it was so great because it's hard, I think, when you're a brand to have like another line that has like a different brand attached, a different name attached to it, but like associating a killer player like you and someone who's
thank,
out there really promoting heavily. It was
thank
so,
you.
so smart. And I love to see all that advertising. I thought that was great.
I'm appreciative. I'm grateful because I know that don't happen every day, especially for us. And I know it's not a race thing, but like being a black drummer, for years, a lot of times we we're not getting that type of love. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this
Yeah. A lot of times you didn't see yourselves represented for sure.
No,
Yeah.
so I'm thankful, and big shout out to all the drummers, like the Thomas Bridges and all those guys that were with DW and Gerald Haywood, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They were the face
Yeah.
of DW and they were getting the love. But I'm thankful that I've been able to branch out and John Rabin and it's created a lane for me. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful and I don't take it for granted. And shout out to the whole DW team, Scott, Jules, our friend Jules. Tommy's
Yes,
one of my favorite
Jules.
people. And Garrison, John Good. And I'm thankful. It's been
Yes.
10 years now. And also Rob Dean, my rep from PDP. And
Hmm.
I'm a DW and PDP artist. So I'm just
Hmm.
grateful. And I'm grateful to have met you. I told you that I actually met you before through the years of going
Yes.
to like the NAM conventions and
Yeah.
on PASIC. Yep. So we met before.
Yeah. And you know what? I remember NAM is so crazy, like with so many people. I
Mhm.
remember meeting you. I specifically remember your outfits because like you always you always have this style about you. You're
Thank
always
you.
always like really really like dressed. I mean, you're colorful, you have like everything matches and like looks great together. You always have it together. And so
Thank you.
I there's no way that I could forget meeting you with all those people there. But then when we kind of like reconnected at PASIC a few years back, I was just
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
I think we were at a DW dinner actually. We sat next to each other, if I
Yes.
recall.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
which was so,
Hmm.
so nice. And then just kinda, like, reconnecting on that level after all that time. And then it so impressed me that you are always at PASIC. You're there representing, being part of that community. It's so huge because, for anyone listening, PASIC, Progressive Art Society, a lot of you know that I am on the board. I am so heavily invested. I believe so strongly in percussion education, and now I'm working with Drumeo and just loving the opportunity to push education forward and on a new platform digitally. But like the PASIC convention is so like near and dear to me. And so when artists show up just to be there and just to support, I love that so much. It means so much. And so I just wanted to say like thank you for always coming and representing and being there,
Now I
supporting our
appreciate.
fellow artists, right?
Now I appreciate you, Sarah. Thanks so much for championing the educational department and what you're doing, pushing things forward. Because we need that. A lot of times in the music business, like I grew up playing in church and I grew up playing by ear, and there
Hmm.
was not that business side of things that you eventually that I would get to as my career progressed, and I started, getting in the real world, like learning how to get gigs. It's certain things that I missed out on because I didn't go to Berkeley or any of those colleges where
Right.
I think that they may have given you some information. But thanks so much for creating that space for us, so we can learn how to be businessmen and not only players. But yeah, as far as PASIC, it's like you said, it's not like anything else. Like it's a community, and when you go there, like you would see like the chancellor, rest in peace. He passed away. In Dugo, you see
Yes.
Peter Erskine. You see your heroes. They all
Yes.
here
Yes.
fellowshipping, and it's like yo, you get a chance. Like back in the days before social media, you were not you were not in the same room with Vinny and Peter Erskine. You couldn't touch them.
Yeah.
But but PASIC, when you go to those conventions, that would allow you your opportunity to be able to meet your heroes, and they also and find out that they just like how you are. We all human.
So
We all put
true.
our pants and dresses on. Whatever you're wearing. I
Mhm.
mean, pants for
Yep.
me. You know what I'm saying? But we all human beings. We all out here,
Yes.
and they down to earth.
Yes.
So like PASIC is the place. I say it's worth the investment, even if you're not performing. It's worth coming because you're going to build relationships, you're going to shake hands, and to me that's what helped me to get into getting endorsements, just being seen, my face being seen. And
Mhm.
of course you wouldn't lie, because if Sarah's with a company, there's a million drummers trying to get up to her so they can get a endorsement. But
Right.
the more you come, the more your face be seen. People see you and they get your energy, they get your vibe. You may get an opportunity, and that's what worked for my career. So I definitely recommend all drummers and musicians to go to these conventions, because you learn so much information. And then the clinics, like you can't pay for the information that you get. Like you actually get in our blood, sweat, and tears and stuff that we bumped our head on, you
Yes.
know, for
Yes.
free. And
Mhm.
we had to make those mistakes for you. So I recommend any of the drummers and people that want to further your career, just see endorsements, to come to PASIC and come to the NAM shows and just shake hands.
Absolutely. Yes. And the NAMM show normally in January is in June this year. So if
Mm,
anyone's attending the NAMM show, it'll be in June. A little bit of a smaller show this year. I think it'll ramp back up, as next year it'll be in April, the year after that it'll be back in January. So hopefully all the companies will get back and exhibit. And then PASIC is in November every year, so definitely look out for that. I think that's a really great point that you made, because it is a more like intimate show. So where NAM is the whole music industry and all the
hmm
different musical instrument manufacturers, PASIC
hmm
is the percussion industry, and so it really
Yes.
feels intimate. It feels like you can go up and talk to those people that you've felt like, you that are your influences. I have to say I
Yes.
met David Garibaldi for the first time at this
Oh,
past BASIC,
me
and I
too. Me
did
too.
you? Oh my goodness. What a sweet, sweet guy. Like,
hmm
I was just I kinda, like, turned around and he was standing there, and I said, "Oh, hi. I'm Sarah Hagan," and he just reached his hand out, and he's like, "Oh, I'm David," and, like, I was like, "Yeah, I know." You know? That's so sweet, and that's the vibe. It's so down
hmm
to earth, and, like, you feel like you're just part of this really great community because you are. It's like, I call it
Yes.
the family reunion of the industry.
Yes. And it's so surreal. And this is not to toot any horns, but it's so surreal when I go into rooms and I meet some of my heroes and they already know who I am. So it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like I'm talking to Gary Barty, let them know how much of a fan he already knew. He's like, he knew who I was.
Yes!
Crazy.
I mean,
It's
how
so surreal.
amazing. Yeah,
It's surreal. It's
it's so,
surreal.
so great, and, I just wanna talk too about, like, they see you out there. You've made such a space for yourself,
Mm,
and really created an entity that is
mm,
Daru Jones. And I just want to talk about that a little bit because,
mm.
I mentioned your style, which stands out. And then
Thank
you
you.
have this incredible way of setting up your kit that's really, really unique. I
Mhm,
remember seeing it, when I first heard about you and first knew who you were. And I
mm.
was just like, how in the world is he playing that kit? Because it's so different. And for anyone listening who's not familiar, I'll, of course, like link some clips and everything. But basically, your kit is set up angled away from you. So you're kind of
Yes,
like, you're up, you kind of sit high, right? And
yes, correct.
you're leaning over and playing traditional grip, and which I think probably is how you have to play to like reach, right? But like, how in the world was that something you just like experimented with? Like, how did you come up with that setup?
That's a good question. So my setup has definitely evolved. My newest setup, I don't know if you saw my latest setup, which is
I
that
have,
playing
yeah.
on the tour with Jack White, has definitely evolved. But some of the first visions of my kit, now we're talking 15 years. Man, it's 15 years. 15 plus
Wow.
years. Wow, almost 20 years. So yeah, so my first vision was basically because I play traditional grip, I would
Mhm.
tilt the snare drum, in front of me because that's the traditional vibe.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I was just switching it up, just doing something, that was a little different, but not have it been done already. Because like I tell people, like my style is definitely a inspiration from my heroes. Like I'm like with my own, of course, eventually, but it's a
Mhm.
it's a tribute to like Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, Steve Gadd, all those
Yep.
guys, Philly Joe Jones. Is that Yeah? They all
Yep.
played with tilted drums. They played with the snare
Exactly.
drum tilted because I think it worked out for like the marching vibe. And one day when I woke up, I was like, man, oh, this is what happened. I remember at the time I was like the other hip hop drummer that was playing with the upper echelons outside of Questlove. Shout out to Questlove Amir. He was one of the first drummers I saw play hip hop, right?
Mhm.
With a small kit with just a snare drum and a floor tom. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. Where's the rest of his drums? And when I became the hip hop drummer, I real, coming from playing gospel into a little bit of jazz fusion. And at the time where I had all these drums, but when I started playing hip hop, I realized I didn't need all those drums. It just bare bones. So I downsized my kit, and it, similar to Questlove, just the snare and the floor tom. And in the
Mhm.
hip hop community, it's all about being original. And if you copy in any kind of way, you would get called out. Like
Right.
back in the days, it was like, yo, don't. They had a terminology like "don't bite off me," which means don't copy off my style.
Mhm.
If your fashion, if you like sound like somebody, or you had the same outfit or something, you would get like it was serious business. So I've
Right.
always had that mentality in my mind. So it's like when I started becoming the next hip hop guy outside of Questlove, it was other drummers that was playing, but may not have been. I don't know. I'm just going to say, just for myself, I was playing with like Tyler Quali and some of the best
Mhm.
MCs in the group in the game at the time. So I just I didn't want my kid to look like Questlove. I didn't want him to be in the same room and be like, "Yo, this dude." So that was the
Yeah.
whole concept of me trying to figure out how can I make my own identity with the small drum kit. So when I woke up one day, I was like, man, what would happen if I do the floor tom snare? So it started from there, and then the cymbals. I just want everything to look neat because my dad, rest in peace, my pop, he was a neat freak. So I think I got some of those some of those tendencies from him. But I just wanted the drums to look, neat,
Yep.
look. And then as far as me sitting, I sit really high, like to dominate the drum, like to come down. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like kind of
Mhm.
like dominate. And it was all really for looks, to be honest. I had to figure out how to play it.
Right, right. I can That's what I'm imagining in my head, right? So like it's the style that you've created and now like adjusting to the way that it's set up, right?
Yeah, so it's like, when you trying to ride a bicycle, you got the training wheels, right? You
Mhm.
ride with the training wheels. So I had to figure out how to switch my vocabulary because when you playing fusion and you playing hip hop, those are two different vocabularies. It's more notes. And I had to figure out how to make more sounds with less drums because I didn't
Mhm.
have the racks. I had to
Right.
figure out how to get all those different tones with just a couple pieces.
Yes.
I'm still figuring it out, but I think was able to, to get that going, and then I just started adding more drums. And then when I started working with Jack, um, some of those records, like the Rack and Tours, he had like a marching snare drum. So
Mm-hmm.
I added different more drums to, that way I could switch. So I added a marching drum. They were still tilted, and then I added another rack tom, but they were all tilted. And then I'm the type of person like, I like to evolve, but when I started seeing people catching on, I started seeing people like other people like I'll say biting or like looking like they were trying to. I was like, all right, I
Right.
gotta go back. I gotta go back to the drawing board, switch it up. So I just kept evolving. And today, my drum kit is evolved where I'm like in between the tilts and regular size because I have like the roto toms and it's a
Yes.
whole like it looked like a spaceship.
It really, really is incredible. And if
Thank you,
anyone wants to check it out, so on your Instagram, you've recently posted some really great pictures of
thank you.
your setup. And I have to ask you, what are it looks like maybe like upside down bells that you have, like a little bit
Oh
over to
yeah,
your right. What is that?
those are just bells. I just turned them upside down.
Okay,
I'm not sure if that's the way that you use them, but I don't like, I like doing things a little bit differently,
your
as,
own
as
way,
you can
right?
see.
I like it. They
Flip them
sound great.
upside. Thank you. I flipped them upside down, and then I'm using some big fat snare drum trinkets. And then also, what's cool about this kit too, I'm adding electronic sounds, which is kind of new. I mean, I take that back. When I used to play with the hip hop guys, like with Tyler Kweli, sometimes I would trigger claps, 808 sounds
Mm-hmm.
and samples.
Yep.
But it's cool in this rock and roll format to be able to bring that vibe because some of, as you know, Jack's new material, he's using samples, he's using claps, and so now it's like the best of all. Like it's like I feel like all my worlds as a drummer is coming together because I got
Yeah.
this pancake drum in the middle. It's
Yes.
like the floor, like it's all these different worlds coming together, and also to pay tribute to the metal. For years, the metal drummers and rock and roll drummers always played the super hardcore big kits. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yes.
Double
Absolutely.
double bass drum. So I'm just following suit to the tradition. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but putting your own spin on it, of course, like always,
exactly,
right? Yeah,
exactly,
got to do
exactly,
your own thing. I love it. Well,
exactly.
yeah, I
Thank you.
just the latest kit configuration. I don't think anyone's going to be able to bite off that because
Man,
it's pretty serious. It's really, really cool. And the Jack White gig is just incredible. I mean, the things that you're doing, the places you're going, the gigs that you're playing. You guys did Saturday Night Live not that long
mhm,
ago, and that looked like
mhm.
a blast.
Wow, thank you.
How are you feeling about being out and, the things that you've been doing lately?
I'm thankful. I'm not gonna lie on this last tour because we started touring again for
Mhm.
um the latest album, Feel the Dawn, and we've been out for a month, and we played a couple festival shows outside, and I feel like, are we supposed to be out here? It was just weird. Like
Right?
actually, I actually went into the audience because I had some guests I was trying to bring to the back. So, and I really don't like being on that side. I'm kind of spoiled. When you get on the VIP side, we're used to going into the back, and you ain't got to be in
Sure.
front of people. You just want that. But this time, I had to go in front of the people, and I was like, "Is this really happening?" Like I just felt like it was wrong to be out walking in front of
I know.
everybody.
I know. I think we're all a little bit like I don't know, a little what is I don't know what the right word is, but just from being kind of like cooped up for so long and
Mhm.
like staying away from crowds that all of a sudden we see crowds in any form and we're all kind of like a little bit shaky about it.
Yeah.
I do notice though that like the crowds now are just so I don't know if it's like happy is the right word, but like just
Yes.
like really, really loving the fact that they get to see live music again and like be in that environment together.
Yes.
I was saying recently on this podcast the first show that I went back to that was like kind of a larger format show. It was interesting to me like how helpful people were with each other and how like happy everyone was to be there together. And it was just like a community vibe that I hadn't really seen pre-pandemic. And so that felt nice. But I also definitely was kind of like, oh my gosh, we're close together. Like what's
Man.
happening? You know,
But
and then you have that awkward moment with people that you haven't seen in a while. I'm a hugger, so like I automatically like I right, I go to hug people, and then I'm just like, oh wait, are we hugging? Are we not hugging? What are we doing here? Right?
Facts. Facts. Yeah,
So
I agree. Just to
we
add on
will
to what
see.
you're saying too, what's really cool and that I can respect about Jack is he does a no phone policy, which is
Very cool.
they lock the phones up in the bags, which is I think is very helpful. You know, and I get it. When the crazy thing is when we first started touring in 2012, that was his policy then. He wasn't up, you know, he was all about like this kind of, you know, let people have the experience versus
Yeah.
going to a concert and all you see is people phones in your face. You can't really enjoy the concert
Hmm.
because there's
Hmm.
mad phones in your face. So I'm glad that he brought that back because I feel like that's another reason why people are able to be there, also vibe with you because
Hmm.
like when you playing in these shows, the audience don't understand. We feed off the energy from you. So if you just sitting down chilling like you watching a movie,
Yeah,
then that's what, how we gonna feel. We gonna just be chilling too. But
I know, right?
if you rock out with us, that's gonna make us want to rock back out with you. So I'm glad that he brought that policy back for sure.
Yeah, I enjoy that too. I know, you know, I've been to a few shows that have that policy. Tool is another band that always has that, no phones. And
Mm,
I enjoy that too because like you're in the moment and
mhm.
we are all on our phones too much anyway. So like it just feels nice to decompress from that for a minute and like really be there. Um, and you know, when we were kids and we went to concerts or teenagers or whatever, there weren't phones. Like you didn't have
Nope.
a phone. So it feels like it brings you back a little bit to like that moment of just like being inside of the live music experience. And I respect that totally.
Mm, mhm.
You know, and it's nice to be able to like again be there with other people and know that they're experiencing the same thing that you are. And I feel like I'm a little bit spoiled being in Boston because the Boston crowds are always like so into doesn't even matter what style of music, what kind. I've never seen a show where the crowd wasn't like loving it and like really
Mm,
kind of being into it. So, um
mm,
you know, I've been to other cities and seen live music in other cities where it's more like people are sitting down kind of thing. And
mhm, mhm.
but here it's pretty people are pretty into the music, so it's a good thing.
That's that's awesome. And one of the things too that I want to add, like at our shows, we don't have a set list, so every night is different. You know, although we kind of been playing some of the newer tunes just so people can get familiar with hearing them, but
Hmm.
for the most part, we all in the experience and journey together because we like we it's happening in real time. Like
That's
he's
so incredible.
and then
So
we
is
make
Jack like calling out songs or do you guys
he's calling out songs. Or we got to be listening to what he's doing. You know, it's like we don't, and sometimes we play stuff that we never played before. It's like new joints, which is
wow.
crazy, and it's so it's like we are all in this. We all making a movie. We all making a memory every night. You know what I'm
I like
saying?
that a lot.
So that means it doesn't get old or boring, you know, to us because we don't never know what's gonna happen. Never know what's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
Just gotta watch
And
and be ready.
yeah, the clips that I've seen too, it just looks like you're all having fun together too, which makes a big difference. You know, it looks like it's enjoyable and challenging. Like I have seen, now that you say that, it makes a ton of sense because I've seen some clips of like Jack starting a song and I'm like, I'm trying to think about what song that is or like recognize it, right?
Yes,
And,
yes, yes, yes.
and now that I'm thinking about it, you're sitting up there doing the same exact thing,
Doing
going,
the same exact thing. Like, okay, what are we doing? Luckily, my trusty bass player, Dominic Davis. Shout out to Dominic. He's like Jack's right hand man. They went to school together, but
oh,
you know he sometimes he has to guide me, but for the most part, we're a team. We're a team player. He's the
wow.
leader. We're watching him. He's like, you know what I'm saying? He's leading us, but we all watching each other, and he's playing off of all of us. And when I first came into the situation, he was like, "Yo, I'll play off the drummer." Because as you know, when him and Meg started with the White Stripes, it was just two
Mhm.
piece. So
Yeah.
he's used to just interacting with the drummer. So it's a lot of pressure, but I'm thankful,
Mhm.
that he trusts, have that trust in me that we're going to have each other back. So we watching him, and we watching each other. We team playing. We
It's
all
so
we
great.
so
Yeah.
thank you. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does seem like a really fun gig, and I kind of want to go back in time a little bit. I mean,
Hmm.
we've covered what is happening now in your life, and I just want to go back and talk a little bit about you starting out, because you were really young when you started playing,
Yes.
and you both of your parents are musicians or were musicians like while you were growing up, right?
They still play. Well, my mom, I lost my pops in 2017, but my mom, she still plays. She
I
still
love
plays,
that.
and they actually met because my dad was my mom's organ teacher. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh my gosh, how sweet
yes,
is that?
yes. So yeah, they played at church, and we went to Pentecostal church where we had service every night of the week. Except Saturdays. But when we would go, I had a lot of cousins and uncles that played that were really good, and they all had their own thing. But I watched them, and I was just fascinated. It was something about the drums that like caught my eye, and I was like, I
Mhm.
want to do that. So um, at the same time, I remember having another cousin that was started playing drums too, and he had one of those little CB700 kits.
Okay, yep.
And we had that drum kit set up at the other side of the church, and then the main drum kit was on the right hand side, so it was like the stereo effect. Although we were playing with the band, sometimes we were not advanced,
Yeah.
and the other music drowned us out, so they couldn't even hear the mistakes. But we were just happy to be up there making noise, and then eventually I would graduate and get on the big kit, um, which I was very short, so they had to use one of those school benches. I'm telling my age, the school this little school bench. But yeah, it was
Oh
cool.
my
Like
gosh.
like like the drums grew up with me. Like they grew up with me. So I have a lot of different eras, and I can think about what I was doing at the time. But I'm thankful I had that outlet because who knows, I had a lot of friends and people, that are not even here anymore, or you know, they didn't have that outlet. So
Yeah,
I'm grateful that I had that outlet, and and I'm glad I stayed faithful too, because this business is not for everybody.
right.
um, but I'm grateful that I stayed, stuck with it, stayed faithful, and the Creator's been kind, and I'm thankful to still be doing it.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it has, it's just been your career to trajectory has been amazing, and
Thank you.
just kind of watching you through the years and what you're doing. And I think when I first became aware of you, you were playing with Black Milk.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Ooh, took it back. Okay.
way back in the day.
Hmm.
Right?
Wow. Hmm.
And just yeah, just to see you were um you moved to New York at some point, right? You were in
Yeah.
Michigan, moved to New York,
Hmm. Yep.
and started playing with these hip hop artists, and that's kind of when I became aware of you. And then just to kind of see like where you've gone from there, and again just kind of like evolving. It's been fantastic.
Well, I want to say it hasn't been easy. You know what I'm saying? I've been told no. I've been denied. I've been called a weirdo. Like all of those things. Like growing up, and when you have a vision, and people don't understand it sometimes, they think you're weird, but I don't know. I'm just thankful that I just kept going regardless, because that's how the real world is. People are not going to understand your vision or where you at, and sometimes you got to leave and go somewhere else just to find your tribe. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? So I'm just
Yes.
thankful that regardless of what happened, and I've been through a lot of life situations, although I feel like my foundation has still always been church and gospel. Like I'm still a believer, obviously, and but I still had a lot of, as you know, this industry is not for everybody, and a lot of disappointments. But
Yes.
through the grace of God and His mercy, and bumping my head, and just relationships have been
Yes,
very helpful for my entire life, relationships, and
absolutely.
treating people a certain way because it comes back, and you
Yes,
got to get a reputation. You know what I'm saying? So if your reputation is not the best, then that's the type of energy karma that you're going to get back. So relationships really helped
yes.
me along the way.
I love that you said that. I always say this industry is all about the relationships. And it is 100% the truth. It's like you said earlier, it's a small industry. Everybody
Mhm.
knows each other, and you can easily set yourself on the path of like people know you in a good way or people know you in a bad way. And so, there's just it's just so important to always keep that in mind, I think.
Yeah, just to add on to what you're saying, back in the day before social media, the rock star lifestyle that people used to live,
Mhm.
you can't do that
Mhm.
nowadays.
No,
But
you
back in the
can't.
days, you can be rude. Like that was the thing.
Yeah.
Rock star, trash a hotel room where you can do all these things, and that's what make you cool. That's It's not that day anymore.
No,
It's
it's
not that
not.
day. And
No, everything is documented, everything is captured, right? I think you have to be really kind of careful with how you treat
move.
people and the things
Mhm.
that you do.
Yeah. And I'm not, we know I'm not perfect. Like I make mistakes and I'm still learning, trying to, continue get back on my spiritual path. But we all left sloppy before. But it's what you do after you make the mistake. Are you trying to
Mhm.
fix it? Are you trying to learn how to move forward? Or are you living low? Like it's another frequency that I'm definitely trying to, raise up because it's that old way is not, to me, it's not the way. Like it's slow. It's short lived. It's short
Mhm.
lived because there's so
Mhm.
many. You know why I say that? Because look at these young 6 year young cats killing,
Yeah.
playing same stuff that we can play now.
Yeah.
So that lets you know your job can get taken. You
Right.
can't you can't be like that. Can't be. You gotta get it together. Otherwise, somebody else is ready to take your spot. And these young cats, like young cats, you know what I'm saying?
I know the talent nowadays in
Mm,
this next generation is just like unbelievable. It's mind-blowing in so many aspects. And I think you're right. It's not just about the talent. It is also about like how are you to travel with? How are you to deal with? Do you show up on time? Are you consistent? Like there's so many different things that go into it nowadays.
levels.
It's not just about like the level of talent because like that bar has been raised. And then
Hmm.
I think what sets you apart is your personality and how you treat people and all of that.
Yeah,
You know?
people watching. They watching how you move on every. They watching
Mhm.
how you move on every, and even it's gotten even tricky even to move on social media because like for me, and I think that's why I kind of had a little bit of challenge. I know the industry is a lot more open now to signing the hip hop guys, but when I was
Mhm.
playing, it was just
Mhm.
rock dudes,
Yes,
and
yeah.
and then it went to open up for the gospel guys, but not the hip hop. It was just not that much, but
Mhm.
it was just different. But I forgot where I was going with this. Um,
I think you were just saying about how you treat people and social media
oh
has
yeah, oh yeah. So even some of the artists that I play with, right? So okay, sometimes their lyrics
right. Yes.
they saying, it can be degrading, and although it's a part of the culture, I
Mhm.
a lot of times I would be putting myself at risk because I'm backing
Right.
these different artists, and sometimes they may be saying degrading or using the N word, whatever, what
Yeah,
happened in the hip
yeah.
hop community.
Yep.
So it's like there's so many different hats. It gets tricky because it's like the hip hop is a part of my culture, and I don't want to. But although I like that culture, I don't talk that way. I
Mhm.
don't, promote, certain things. That's just not me. I'm just a fan of the music. It's just the
Right.
energy. So it's just it's tricky. It's tricky because you make a post, people think that going against. It's like, yo, no, I'm just here for the. I don't. So it's
Yeah,
tricky.
you're just trying to make
It's tricky.
music,
Just trying
right?
to
At
make
the end of the
music.
day, you're just trying to make music. I know, and that is really, really hard. I feel like there's such a spotlight on everyone nowadays,
Hmm.
on how you present yourself. Social media is such a tricky thing with the fact that you can kind of like create a whole other entity of yourself,
Hmm.
and it can be completely not true. You
Hmm.
can represent yourself exactly how you are.
Hmm.
You can, really there's like any number of ways, and it freaks me out a little bit, to be honest.
Man, yo,
Um
I go ahead. I didn't mean to cut
yeah,
you off. I'm
no,
sorry.
I think it's very, very tricky as to how you promote yourself and how you present yourself, and then what you align yourself with. Maybe that's what I'm trying to
Yes,
get at.
yes, 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 yes.
And it really is tough. I mean, I struggle because I always want to say how I feel about things and like comment on
Hmm.
things, and I'm like, yeah, don't do that, because that is polarizing, and you don't
Hmm.
want to kind of like go in that direction.
Hmm.
Um
Hmm.
but so I try to be fairly neutral on things, always like supportive of what I believe in, but not
Hmm.
go too far where I'm just like ranting about something because I feel like no one wants to hear that. So
Yeah. So
it's hard.
another example, and I play in a group called 13. It's a trio, and the lead rapper, his name is Pharaoh Munch. He's a legendary rapper, like probably one of the best rappers to be ever do it. But we have a group called 13. It's me, him, and Marcus Machado, and the name of the project was called a magnificent day for exorcism. So
Okay.
just think, and all the titles on the record, like the subject that we're talking about, for people that are closed-minded, they're gonna look at us like we got a song called 666, right? So when you
Hmm.
hear 666, you automatically thinking negativity. But
Sure.
when you listen to the record, it's actually it's a playoff of, I can remember, but it's three word six. I forgot. I don't want to break it down, but every song, although there's a narrative, we actually shine a light on stuff that we've been dealing with, and the
Hmm.
pandemic has really shown us like it's a lot of ugly things out there that we had to change the narrative. So we were basically using our project as a eye opener for everybody to be like, hey, that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and that's what happened. You had the Black Lives Matter, all these different things that happened during the pandemic. We
Hmm.
were hoping, and so for me, that's what I wanted to be a vehicle to, regardless of the genre that I'm playing. I want people to see me and see the creator. Like I'm a vessel. I want to be used my gifts to be edifying and give out positive vibes and also uplift. So
Hmm.
regardless of the artist that I'm playing with, although you may not understand the lyrics, just meet me. You know what I'm saying? Like think
Yeah.
of how you feel,
Yes.
how you feel when you leave a concert. Obviously, because when people leave, they come to they say certain. I'm like, man, I had a bad day, but after I came to your show, you made me feel. It's like it's a whole nother narrative. So I think as long as I stay in tune, with the creator, and I keep putting those vibrations. Hopefully, that would help.
Yes.
Me, where I can continue to be in some of my work situations, and they're not conflict. But it's rough because
Yeah.
like when you have endorsement with big companies, all it
Hmm.
takes is for somebody to complain, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, "Yo, I don't even smoke. I don't even do this stuff. Like I'm just
Yeah.
playing the music. Like that's not me. Like it's tricky, tricky."
I know it is hard. It is hard, and I think like the energy that you give off definitely like helps. It comes, you come across as a very positive person,
Thank you.
um and I think that's really important. And you mentioned something earlier about like um being in a situation where people don't understand you, and what you just said about being in a situation where someone's not understanding the message of the music. They're just like looking at the title and thinking one thing but not really like delving into it. And I think that's really important because we all at some point feel like we're weird, and
Hmm.
we are weird, we're
Hmm.
different, and
Hmm.
but like in the aspect of like weird is great because it makes us who we are. And that's
Mhm.
part of like what we're passionate about, how that comes through. And you're so right about like finding your tribe. And if it
Mhm.
means moving to a different city, or if it means, having a tough situation where you do have to let go of people who don't understand you, or people who are judging of what you're doing,
Mhm.
in order to find those people who do get you and do see you, and
Mhm.
for who you are, and embrace you without judgment and all of that. And I think it's important to see like how you come across with your super unique setup, with your style.
Thank you.
You're yourself, you're being yourself. It's coming out from, the inside. It's showing, and it's also letting other people know to be themselves. Like,
Mm.
you don't have to set your kid up like everybody else. You don't have to, you know, wear
Mm.
what everyone else is wearing. Like, just be yourself. Let what is inside come out. It's okay to experiment with what you're doing, and what you're putting together, and see what happens. Like, you had to learn a whole new style of playing, uh,
Mhm.
surrounding this kit that you put together. And
Yes.
that a lot of people wouldn't take that risk, and I think it's important to take the risk.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I want to give a shout out. I heard you mention that you're working with Drumeo. Shout out to Drumeo. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing their thing, and I like those guys.
Yes,
The whole squad is cool. And they actually flew me out. I did a Drumeo session. But
I saw that. Yes, it
just
was
to add
great.
on to what you were saying, when I got my opportunity to do something with Drumeo, of course they have most of the drummers. They want to show how they do their different licks or whatever the case. I was like, let me take this opportunity to just promote, you know, create, how to create your own identity, because that's what I saw coming up. And I know that we're in a YouTube, age where you can do the cheat codes. But back in the days, like when I my heroes, Vinny was Vinny, Wecco was Wecco, Buddy Rich was Buddy Rich. It was only one of them. That's what I saw coming up. And to me, I think that's what made that exciting, because I was like, I know that I can go to Erskine and he was going to have his certain flair, like, but now it's just like that's missing. That's missing. And I don't knock, I'm not knocking any of the traditions, because I think it's great for the industry that we have a lot more drummers. But I just
Hmm.
said, what can I do to the community? And I just wanted to kind of just show people that we all as human beings have something unique inside. We have to
Yeah,
just go within and find it. And a lot of times we go years and we never even find out what it is,
that's true.
but you don't have to, like Michael Jackson was Michael Jackson. People may thought he was weird because he had the glitter gloves or whatever. Prince
Hmm.
bought right stilettos, but we all have something special, and quiet as it kept, it's not meant for all of us to do the same thing. Some of
Hmm.
us have other skills, and it's not all meant for us to play drums or be, but you got to find out what your thing is, and go inside. You have some other talents, and I just wanted to, take that time. But yeah, shout out to Drumeo. And I just wanted to add, like, that's what I saw coming up when I would get the modern drummer magazines. They had all these different drummers. They had their own worlds. Although some of them went to the same colleges, like Berkeley, they still, I feel like they didn't want to sound like each other. Like even the drummers that was inspired by Tony Williams, they still kind of want to play their own interpretation. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I think that's important. And if we all sounded like, it's boring. Like it's just like,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I know personally, I'm really drawn toward something that is unique and different, when I see that. And because it is rare. I see
mm,
someone like Glenn Cochi, for example, playing like all of these
all the
crazy
drums.
things,
Yes. That's my
noisemakers,
man. That's my guy.
oh my goodness, right? Like, you just want to get inside of his head. You want to understand where this is coming from, and ask him a million questions about where he found these things. It's just, to me, that's so fascinating. And even down to like, the generation right now coming up and like really making waves, like JD Beck, like, just
Yes, I love,
what
that's my man
he's
too. I love
doing with,
JD.
yeah, like this pared down setup, and making these electronic sounds out of his acoustic drums and cymbals and things like that. I love that stuff. And so I would do the same thing, just encourage everyone to figure out what it is that inside that makes you different, that makes you tick. Let it come out. foster that and look where it's taken you, because, you're doing great things and on
Thank
tour
you.
with Jack White. And
Thank you.
what is it? What do you have? Are you have another leg of the tour coming up? Is that right?
Yes, we have several legs coming up. To be honest, God say the same. But yeah, we on a short break. We doing like the South and West Coast run coming up soon, and
Mm-hmm.
they got dates going until I think October, November. We have breaks in between, obviously, because some of we're
Mm-hmm.
going to be going. We're supposed to go to Europe, Japan. So yeah, the next leg is coming up soon, and I'm just honored and excited to be back out because we were all in the pandemic, and I was actually like hustling other groups and certain things. I didn't even know I was going to be doing this again, but I'm grateful
Right.
when Jack was recording here. I got the summons to come do the recordings, and obviously, the touring would come around. But I'm thankful because he have a Rolodex of drummers he could have called. But I'm thankful that to be back out there, and I'm glad to meet you. And I love the fellowship of the community. Outside of the drumming, that's cool. We doing a job, but that's after the show is over. That's it. But it's about these type of relationships going to PASIC and NAM. Like that's where I really feel like I can breathe and just chill. So I'm
Yeah.
thankful for people like you. Yep.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. And I just really, really appreciate you coming on. I know being on a break from tour and, trying to chill out and but like taking your time to talk today and just talk through these things, because I think it's important. I loved through the pandemic getting a chance to talk to some of my favorite people, and I feel like it's kind of morphed into even more fun, because we don't have, we have like these fun things to talk about now, what's happening,
Mhm.
instead of the conversations where it was like, hopefully things will get back, hopefully we'll get back. But now we're back, and I'm so happy, and it just like makes my day to get to have these conversations. So thank you
Mm,
so much, and I hope I will see you out there. I'm sure I'll see you at PASIC or somewhere on the road.
yes, thank you.
But yeah, I appreciate everything that you do as well, and
Thank you.
yeah, we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Looking forward to. Thanks so much for having me on the show. And I want to shout out the brands that I'm using. I am a DW PDP artist. I'm also a Pisces symbol artist. I have symbols called the DJs 45s. They're portable 12-inch vibes. I'm also a Remo artist. Shout out to Chris and Roger. I had drumsticks. Actually got a couple of these right here.
Nice.
My signature Daru Jones. This is like a limited model that I have. I brought them on a tour. I'm gonna try to see if I can sell them on the next run. And
Yeah.
then what else? I'm also a Latin percussion artist. So shout out to Jerry and Derek and the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon Mics. They make these sub microphones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have a signature model with them. And who else? Hope I'm not missing anybody else. Pipes too. But yeah, those are the brands that I'm currently endorsing. Oh, I'm also a new rolling artist.
Oh,
Um,
very
yeah, I
nice.
don't know what level I'm on, but they gave me some stuff. I'm using
That's
rolling
great.
pads.
Well, you need that
So
stuff now with all the triggers, right? And the sounds that
yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing. So
yeah.
they'll take great care of you, I'm sure.
I've been using rolling since I was a kid, like my first drum machine. But I do know that there's levels, as y'all know, there's levels to this. Some people, but I'm thankful that I was able to get, some gear from Roland, and we'll see, how that pan out. But yeah, shout out to Roland. Um, and yeah, I'm thankful for everybody that came up to the shows and showed support and love. And hopefully we see y'all on the next legs. And big thank you, Sarah. This is a beautiful podcast. I'm wishing you all the best. It's so
Thank
cool to
you.
see you doing this from instead of being an A&R, you do like, having these conversations. So how do you feel?
I love this so much.
Mhm,
I love it. I loved my years at Zildjian. I was there for 16 years and
mhm,
loved
mhm,
it.
mhm, mhm,
But and one of the reasons I loved it was just the artists, the relationships, the community. That's the biggest thing for me. And
mhm,
not being at Zildjian and realizing that that's still there, that it still exists, that was the
mhm.
greatest gift ever, to just
Nice.
to understand that, and to know that those relationships were like lifelong, it's a beautiful thing. And so I am loving the podcast. I'm loving working with Drumeo. I'm also working with Groove X Percussion, which is
Nice.
Russ Miller's company, like doing AR
Wow.
marketing and some product development stuff, working with the artists on their ideas, which is something I did at Zildjian and loved so much. So
Nice.
I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. And
Very
yeah,
cool.
the podcast has been great. Again, just the opportunity to catch up with everybody and hear what's going on and share what you have going on. And I will put links and everything in the YouTube description of the podcast
Okay.
show notes so that everyone can follow along with you on Instagram and see what you're doing and get some show tickets and all that stuff too if you come through their area. Definitely go out and see Jack White with Daru because it's a great show. And I'm loving the clips that I'm seeing, and I hope I get a chance to see you soon.
Yes, I appreciate you, Sarah. Well, have a good evening, and I look out for the link. God bless you and the family, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Same to you. Thanks,
right, thank
Daru.
you.
Take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. Join us each Tuesday for new episodes of Sarah Hagan Backstage.